A three-day national consultation in the Malian capital Bamako has ended. Its military rulers race to avoid sanctions to be imposed by ECOWAS before 15 September. The talks mark the second round of discussions between the officers who on August 18th overthrew President Ibrahim Aboubacar Keïta and civilian representatives. Leaders of the West African nation agreed for an 18-month transitional period. Sona Tunkara has more.
On the Article 19 of the communique states for an 18 months of a transitional president who will not be eligible to contest during a presidential election is said to have formed part of the final agreement of the just ended national consultation meeting, which ends yesterday in the Malian capital Bamako. The transitional president, according to the document, in which parties that took part in the summit will be chosen by a nominating set up by the National Committee for the Salvation of the People. In contrast, the 15-nation Regional Bloc Economic Committee of West African States has set a deadline for Mali's civilian president and prime minister to be appointed no later than September 15th. ECOWAS slammed sanctions on Mali by closing its borders, banning trade with Mali, and has called for a civilian ruling in 12 months maximum. According to Article 20 of the transition document, members of the National Committee for the Salvation of the People and all actors who participated in the event from August 18, 2020 to the investiture of the transitional president enjoy jurisdictional immunity. As such, they cannot be prosecuted or arrested for acts committed during the said events. Leaders also agreed to set a National Transitional Council, a legislative body to be responsible for the transition, which according to them shall be made up of 121 members divided between the defense and security forces, representatives of the June 5th movement, political parties and groups, civil society, trade unions, human rights organizations, women's and youth group leaders, people living with disability, among others. For iAfrica TV, Sohna Tunkara.
That was Sohna Tunkara filing in that report. Earlier, I spoke to Malian journalist Mohamed Salah. I begin by asking him how the people are welcoming yesterday's agreement for an 18-month transition.
After 3 days of tense, frank and honest talk between among Malians, they come to an agreement about the shape of the transition and about who will lead the transition. The atmosphere is calm because Malians talk, negotiate among themselves and decide the fate of Mali. Certainly, some people did not agree about the final shot, but we saw in the room that the shot was uploaded by people in the room. So it's very capital, it's very important for Malian to agree on what they want to do in the next coming months, which is the transition which will hand over the power to an official elected president. So in the capital city, the atmosphere is calm and we can see a happiness on Malian faces.
So, okay, the regional bloc has given a deadline of 15 September to the leadership in Mali for the country to be transferred to a civilian rule. Was the meeting really putting into consideration this date set by the ECOWAS leadership earlier this week?
The meeting was putting in account everything that concerns Malian, every challenge of Malian. So Malian were discussing among themselves and consider all the setting of the future transition. It's to ECOWAS to adapt what Malian wants to the role. It's not to Malian to do what ECOWAS wants. ECOWAS need to consider what Malian wants. So Malian discussed among themselves and decided. And I think that ECOWAS will take note and will accept what Malians have decided among themselves. It's true that Malians discuss it and try to find a solution before the deadline that ECOWAS has given. But it's important also to know that we are running and we are in rush time, and we need to go with attention so that we don't be in the same problem as 2012.
And finally, before I take a leave of you, ECOWAS previously had imposed sanctions on Mali by closing its borders and banning trade with them. How has this affected the country's economy?
Those sanctions are really affecting Malian economy. For those who know Mali economy have become weak since about 10 years because Mali is under the fight now of terrorism. Mali is trying to set up its economy because of instability and insecurity, and Malian tourism is almost died because Mali is listed as a red line for most of travelers. So our economy became weak before. Those sanctions ECOWAS put in Mali, Malians are really suffering from, and call ECOWAS to reconsider its position and to put end to those sanctions. And there is a point that is very important. Mali needs ECOWAS. This is obvious. And ECOWAS also needs Mali because if you try to see, Mali is the one who served the sub-region in the cattle, in the sheep cattle. Mali is very rich in sheep cattle. And when the borders are closed, the other countries will suffer. So Malian wants to ECOWAS to put end to the sanction for the benefits of ECOWAS itself.
Thank you. Thank you. That was journalist Muhammad Salah talking to me earlier from the Malian city capital, Bamako.